so I'm kind of stuck here. This might be a good campground. The cops won't bother me. Just took my first crash here.
Alright guys, let's ride Route 211 in Sperryville. I'm riding my V-Strom 650 with the dark side tire, as you guys know. And this road in Sperryville, Virginia is a pretty good road to ride, as you can see. It's 2 lanes going up and 1 lane going down the mountain. One thing I can't stand of motorcycles that they do is that they use both lanes going up. So this road used to be extremely popular on the weekends for motorcyclists in the DC area. But there used to be a time where tons of motorcycles used to fall here. There were so many accidents that they put up rumble strips at one point, then they removed those, then they put the white painted strips, and then they actually painted on the road to slow down, and they put up signs, high crash area for motorcycles. That's how dangerous this road became. And it used to be, dozens upon dozens of motorcyclists would go and use this road like a racetrack. And I have to admit, I've used it and I've ridden it pretty fast a couple of times. As you can see the slow markings coming up, the little strips, and you line up. Most of the time, if you ride around the speed limit or just slightly above it, you're gonna have fun and still be okay. I'm riding like at 50 miles an hour or so. And the speed limit here now is 35 miles an hour, which is incredible. It used to be 55 miles an hour. But there's been so many accidents. Here's another very difficult corner. You should set up for the corner, slow down, don't brake. I usually like to go to the corners a little bit slower and then speed through the corner slowly and steadily. So that way, my suspension is not going to be upset. There are quite a few corners like this that you set up for the corner and you start riding it, and you see like this, it just keeps getting tighter and then you speed through it. There's a lot of these corners. I believe it's called decreasing radius corners. It's kind of a tricky thing, especially for beginners, and if they're following more advanced riders, they could get in trouble. And that rail right over there, it's extremely dangerous. Like, you hit that thing, you're gonna get seriously hurt. So you do need to practice going around turns, especially if you're into motorcycling. And if you're a beginner, just go into turns a little bit slower than what you used to, because most of the time that's really gonna help you out. And it's not about going fast into a turn. It's not a racetrack. Just go into the turn a little bit slower than you're used to. And then as you're going through it, start adjusting your throttle and giving it a little bit of gas. And just as you see the apex of the corner, just speed through it, just kind of like burst out. That's the way I kind of like to ride. And most of the time I feel very safe doing it because I'm going into corners a little bit slower. It's when people go into corners too fast that they get in trouble. So why not eliminate that potential danger? This first turn is probably one of the more tricky turns going downhill because it is a very tight turn and it gets tighter midway. So you have to be careful with this one. Following this turn, there's a right-hand turn that a lot of people get in trouble and run very wide or go into the shoulder. It's a really good road to ride, but you really have to be careful of some of the turns. And you can see in the middle, there's a lot of gravel. This is the difficult turn. It's a right hand going downhill. And a lot of people go into the shoulder or they run off into the yellow right over there. After this, downhill on the west part of 211 is very easy to ride because the turns are basically sweeping turns and you could go very fast through those turns. But yeah, my motorcycle with the dark side tire, and that is the car tire, really doesn't affect much of the handling. It would affect the handling if I was really pushing this bike, the limits of the cornering. And that's the reason I think I like the dark side tire, is because I don't want to push the limits of my bike, not on the street. If I was on the racetrack, I would want a better tire. But then again, if I was on the racetrack, I would want a different bike other than the V-Strom. And that is my reasoning behind putting a car tire on a motorcycle. Because most of the time, 98% of the time, these tires are good for most motorcycle riders. Every rider thinks they're riding fast, but in reality, you're just riding average. There's always somebody much better than you. So I prefer to go a little bit slower and kind of enjoy myself, and that's the way I like riding. As you can see, these turns are very sweeping, and there's very limited traffic coming the other way on weekdays. But on weekends, this place is going to be packed, and there might be a few accidents because people tend to be a little bit more spirited than they should riding their motorcycles. And at points, they did have helicopter checkpoints where they were, checking speed on helicopters and then just sitting out in one end of the mountain and just grabbing you. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video, and I hope you learned something from riding Route 211 in Sperryville. I highly recommend going on this road, but be careful. Alright, I'll see you in the next video.